another edition of Unboxing the Birmingham Museum. I'm your host, Caitlin Donnelly, and each week we go into another storage area here at the Birmingham Museum, and we start opening up boxes. And quite simply, who doesn't like opening up boxes just to see what's in there? But also, we have so many thousands of objects here at the Birmingham Museum. There's not a single staff member that's been able to open up every single box and see in person what each of those things contained. We do have a great archival system and a great software system that has pictures of a lot of these objects, but sometimes seeing them in person is just so much more exciting. So I am once again in the basement of the Allen house, and this is going to be a little bit of a special episode because I'm going to show you some of the closets we have here and talk about some of the collections programs that we have going on and kind of ways that past volunteers have gotten involved here at the museum. And my boss mentioned that I haven't talked about why I'm wearing white gloves in these videos for a while, so I guess we'll get it out of the way now. If you haven't been watching these videos from episode 1, I don't know what you've been doing, but I talked about them in the earlier videos. People who work in museums, we wear white gloves to protect the objects that we're touching. As we're all aware of at this point, 2020 has all been about washing hands at this point. So you've probably noticed that your hands are getting dry and maybe a little cracked from all that constant washing. And that's because every time you wash your hands, you're kind of stripping away some of the oils that your body is producing. And these oils are pretty important to your body's skin regulation systems and everything, but when they come into contact, when those oils come into contact with things like paper, wood, older plastics, sometimes metals, it can damage these objects a great deal. And especially over time, if a bunch of people are touching these objects and they're all getting our hand oils on it, it can discolor things, it can lead to breakage, all sorts of things that we don't want to do here at the museum, because part of a museum's code of ethics is that when we take something into our collections, we're going to take care of it in perpetuity, which means that we are going to do our best to minimize any of those harmful effects that we know of. So that's why I'm wearing white gloves in all these videos. And also, it kind of makes me look like Mickey Mouse, so I'm down with it. So I am standing right now in front of some very nondescript banker's boxes, and these don't look like much, but this is part of the story of Birmingham. In the early to mid 2000s, as many of us might be familiar with, small newspapers around the country were folding. They were running out of money, going bankrupt, and closing. And one of those was the Birmingham Eccentric. And the Birmingham Eccentric has been going since the 1890s. It was established by Almer and Whitehead and his friend George Mitchell, among a lot of other things. They bought one of the first printing presses in the area, and they named the newspaper after their social club, which was the Eccentrics, and which was then named after a group in Jules Verne's book, 80 Days Around the World, or Around the World in 80 Days. That's what it was. So that's why it's called the Eccentric. The Eccentric was revived. I believe now it's owned by the same company that does USA Today, but at the time they thought they were closing for good. And so what they did is they took their collection of clippings and they tossed them in a dumpster. And so what a history-minded person in the city of Birmingham did is they went dumpster diving. And they come up with boxes and boxes and boxes full of clippings from the Eccentric. We're talking like the pet of the week in the 1940s, like that sort of thing. And so we have all those boxes of clippings here on these shelves. And if you've been attempting a big project in these last few months that you've been home, you probably know that sometimes you just have to take stock of what you have when you have just a ton of stuff in front of you. And so that's something that our volunteers have been working on for the past several years, is just going through these boxes and making an inventory. What year is this clipping from? Well, let's open one and take a look. So we have here, I'll put a close-up of these, but there's so many folders in here, and they are all white, archival, non-toxic folders. They're all labeled in pencil. If you remember Donna's video, pencil is very important. We want to be able to walk back any changes that we made. Pens are verboten in the field. And so they're all labeled, and so here I have a folder labeled Birmingham Police, Traffic Enforcement, and Radar. Compelling stuff here. And at the head of each folder is an inventory sheet that basically says, what is the file that it's in, what is the item of note in this clipping. So one of these is improper turns, important factors in traffic mishaps, from February 9th, 1950. And then every single article or clipping in here is in a plastic sheet to make sure it survives. So, along with the library, we have been talking about a lot of issues of the Birmingham eccentric are digitized, they are online, but they're not searchable. Which makes it very, very hard if, say, you're doing genealogy work and you just want to see if there were any Donnellys that lived in Birmingham at any point, and, did they make the paper at any junction? You can't really do that. You kind of have to know the year that you're looking for and then comb through. It was a weekly newspaper, so you have at least 52 issues to go through. If you're looking for something, you're like, I'm pretty sure, Grandma was arrested in 1923 here in Birmingham, and I want to see if it made the newspaper. You pretty much have to go through every single issue of 1923 instead of just being able to search your name. So one of the things that we're going to do once we have a completed inventory of everything, all the clippings that we have, we're going to go to the library and maybe we can redigitize all of the eccentric and make it searchable, make it a little bit more user-friendly. So we are nearing the end of stage one, which is just inventorying everything. And it's taken us many, many years to even get to this point where we think we have a handle on everything that we have here from the eccentric. And so hopefully we can go to the next stage soon. So we're going to go to a closet now here at the museum, and we'll see what's in there. All right, so we are in one of the many tiny little rooms down here in the Allen House basement. This house was built in 1926, so people were bringing coal into this home to help heat it during the winter, and there was a bunch of weird little storage situations going on that our houses today just don't have. And this is one of the rooms, you can probably tell just by looking around me, that we are currently working on because we have stuff in this room that needs to be managed a little bit better than it currently is. So this is one of our current ongoing projects here at the Birmingham Museum that staff and volunteers have been working on just to make it a little bit better from an objects management perspective. But of course, small museums, sometimes you have to use the space that you have and the limited resources that you have. So, and you do the best you can with what you got. So this room, sometimes it's a little spooky. It is quite dark. But yeah, we have desks back here from Pierce Elementary School. I have fantastic pictures of students from Pierce. Unfortunately, the desks don't quite match, but similar time periods, so that's pretty exciting. I've got some trunks here. I've got an old vacuum cleaner, an old sewing machine, another desk, an old washing machine, one of those old workout machines that just the belt went around you and it just vibrated and somehow that would do something? I don't know. I mean, it sounds like fun, I guess. And we have some light fixtures too, and then we have a giant couch. Now, here's the thing. In order to get into the basement of the Allen house, we have 2 stairwells coming down here, but both turn at really hard 90-degree angles. So I'm not sure how this couch got down here. There was some pivoting situations going on here by some master pivoters, and or the house was built around this couch. But I wish that someone had some notes from when they brought this couch down here, because I really want to know how that happened. These doors, I'm not sure where these doors are from, but you know, I'm going to assume they're important, and that's why they're down here. So now we're going to move to another storage area here in the basement at the Birmingham Museum. So come along with me. So I'm here in another one of the little storage rooms here in the basement of the Allen house at the Birmingham Museum. And this is where we store our decorations. So we have Christmas trees that we'll bring out during the holiday season. We have ornaments and some other miscellaneous props that both staff and the Birmingham Historical Society used over the years for decorating and things like that, including a headless and legless mannequin. So, you know, I'm not sure when we used this, but we have it, and it's great. It scares people when they come in and they're not expecting to see that hanging out in the corner. So, one of my favorite little spooky rooms here. And I'm going to show you another one, and then I think we'll be done for today. So, a door to another closet, or nothing at all. This door used to go up into the yard. It was an outside entrance to the basement of the Allen house. But for both security reasons and also for insulation reasons, we had it blocked off, and now there's just insulation behind the door. So again, this house was built in 1926, and if you live in an older house, you know that sometimes they are a bear to heat and to cool. And in a museum setting, you really want to have your climate control steady all throughout the year, because if you have fluctuations in both heat and cold, it can really damage a lot of artifacts, and we don't want that. So we tried to minimize that as much as we could down here in the basement, and one of the ways we did this was by blocking off this outside entrance. And this door, we just have blocked off altogether. We're currently installing some new shelves. We have so many more boxes here, so this is where they're stacked for right now. Behind this door is just some really creepy decorations from a couple decades ago that have not aged well. And I love them. I want to use them. I want to scare children as they're walking by. But, you know, no one else on staff is kind of on my side in that. So currently we are storing things in front of it and letting a colony of spiders use that room as they wish. So there you have it. That is the basement down here in the Allen house. Next week we're going to venture over to the Hunter house, where we also store things in both the basement and a little bit in the attic, and we'll poke around and see what we can see. So thank you so much for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.